week, which is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Jurassic Park 2,
Yeah.
the Lost World. No, scratch the Jurassic Park part, but we make jokes here.
The Lost World.
The Lost World.
Good picture.
Yeah. Why don't you take the lead on this?
All right, sure. The Lost World. This is I mean, other than King Kong, probably the most famous movie that Willis O'Brien worked on.
Mm-hmm.
Willis O'Brien did not direct this one. This was directed by Harry O. Hoyt. Not a name I was familiar with, but Willis O'Brien did all of the dinosaur effects, which are very cool.
That's what we're here for.
And yeah, this is based on the novel by Arthur Conan Doyle, most famous for creating Sherlock Holmes, but this is probably the thing he's second most famous for.
I actually had no idea that he did anything other than Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, he did. We'll might get into it a bit later, but he did a whole this book sparked a whole different series of novels and short stories about Professor Challenger, which is I guess a character that Arthur Conan Doyle, when he was alive, seemed much more fond of than Sherlock Holmes. He was kind of famously didn't really like writing Sherlock Holmes and was annoyed that it was so popular.
And you can tell that Arthur Conan Doyle likes this work because he appears at the beginning of this movie.
There's a little he does a little intro.
He's like, "I'm Arthur Conan Doyle. I wrote this. It's about dinosaurs. Enjoy."
And yeah, so we meet our kind of main lead character, Ed Malone, who's a reporter in London, who wants to marry this woman Gladys, who tells him, "I will only marry a man of great deeds and strange experiences." And so she's sort of like, "You haven't done enough crazy shit, so I won't marry you. You need to do some crazier shit." And so then he takes an assignment to try to look into this Professor Challenger fella, who is an academic in London who is claimed to have discovered a lost world in South America where dinosaurs live. Professor Challenger looks like a Tintin character. He's got this crazy beard and head of hair.
He does.
And he is trying to put together an expedition to go to South America, and the stuffy academics in London are sort of like, this can never be. And they basically agree to go on an expedition just to prove him wrong. And so there's his sort of academic rival, Professor Summerlee, who is the sort of main one, being like, "I'm going to go on this expedition just to prove that you're a hack." And then there's also this sort of I guess hunter explorer type Roxton, who also goes on the expedition. And then Malone has to break into Challenger's house just to kind of because Challenger hates reporters, but he kind of earns his respect by breaking into his house and
slash saying that he's a friend of a friend.
Yeah, but he proves his mettle, I guess, in doing so.
I mean, I guess if I were constantly ridiculed for telling people true stories about dinosaurs, I would probably hate the press too.
Understandable. But Challenger is a very fun character in that he is a professor and he's this academic explorer guy, but he's also just this wild, crazy man who will get in fights all the time and throw chairs around a room. And so then they head off, and we get a nice, cool sort of map travel shot of a map, and we see an old boat traveling down to South America from England, which is the first time I've seen that in something, a sort of proto Indiana Jones map travel scene. And they get down to South America, and we sort of are meeting our characters as they're preparing to set out into the jungle. There's also, another reason why they agreed to go on the expedition is because there's been this other explorer who's disappeared, Maple White, and his daughter what is her
he was
name?
on their last expedition,
Right.
and yeah, his daughter is coming along to try and find her dad.
Yeah, and that's sort of like they've sort of agreed to do this expedition because it's like a rescue. It's not just an academic thing. And there's sort of a weird love triangle between Paula, Malone, and Roxton, even though Roxton is like a million years old. That was the thing.
The decrepit hunter.
Yeah, that was the thing that was invented for the film. Paula White doesn't exist in the novel. She was invented by the film. I like the addition of someone who's like emotionally invested in this thing for reasons other than just to prove dinosaurs exist. Like, she's kind of an underwritten character, but at the same time, I'm glad that that character exists in this. I think.
Yeah, she's like a good kind of like one of those classic like adventure movie characters of like the spunky girl who like is like I can know I can do everything that the men can do, you know.
And it's the 20s, so they don't really. I don't know how necessarily feminist this movie is about it, but
it's no. It's just I think it's just having her participate for sure, but. It is this kind of like proto like girl power figure.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it's they're like, hey, we can vote now. We can also.
Oh yeah, true.
Go look for dinosaurs. And then so yeah, Professor Summerlee is also there. He's the kind of stuffy academic. Yeah, I feel like the main thing about him is that he sucks. It's like. Everyone is like, oh, Summerlee, we hate this guy. I think they established that pretty early on with like, we can tell that about him because there's this a cute monkey named Jocko, and he's like, get out of here, I hate this monkey. And it's like, come on, dude, don't be hating on the monkey. But as they're traveling to the Lost World is on the top of a mountain, a plateau in South America, which is almost definitely based on Mount Roraima, which is a real mountain in South America that is inspired this story as well as Up. Up is also, I mean, heavily inspired by The Lost World.
That makes sense.
Right. But so as they're sort of traveling through South America, we get a lot of like real animal footage, which is pretty cool, and I think actually ends up helping to kind of sell the dinosaur footage because we're seeing all this footage of like alligators and jaguars and stuff. And then once we start seeing dinosaurs, it's sort of like presented in a very similar way. It's all stop motion animation, but it's like filmed in a similar way to how they've been using the real animal footage. And I think that was like a surprisingly effective way of sort of like grounding the effects of the movie, I thought.
In addition to all of that, they use a lot of kind of inventive. I think when there are special effects on screen, usually in these movies, it's in this very cordoned off area where, like, you can do a double exposure over a black background or something like that. And they do a lot in this movie to integrate the humans and like stop motion dinosaurs into the same shots in a way where there's clearly like a line that's happening like between two shots, but you can't see where that line is, and it's not straight.
It's like, it's really well hidden.
It's being like covered up by brush, in the wilderness or whatever. And so like I couldn't fully tell like where the two shots were being merged together. And so it sells it really well as being in the same space. It's also just like really showy special effects wise.
Yeah. So yeah, we've talked about Willis O'Brien before. He did Beast of Slumber Mountain and a couple other like shorts with dinosaurs or prehistoric creatures as stop motion animation. But this is
big dino guy.
Yeah, this is definitely the easily the most ambitious thing that he's done in terms of the effects, both in terms of like combining it with live action stuff, which is really well done, but then just the amount of animation that's in this movie and sort of like how complicated the scenes are, kind of.
There's a lot of I mean, something that he pays attention to, I can tell in this and his other films, are adding this realism to his animated dinosaurs by making them breathe,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is something that would be easy to forget about. But uh, the dinosaurs are always in motion, but it's not this like over exaggerated motion to like show like they're bobbing their head. They're not doing a Gertie the dinosaur like bobbing their head back and
Right, they're not
forth
dancing.
every time, like. But like even when Gertie was idle, it was moving back and forth because it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's got to move. It's
Right.
animation,
Yeah.
but like it's very subtle and naturalistic animation
Yeah.
in
I think
this.
all the dinosaur behavior feels like it's very sort of like accurate to, I guess, the understanding of what dinosaurs would have acted like at the time. And it's like, I don't know, the dinosaurs in this are really expressive, both in terms of their body language and also just like sometimes their like actual like faces are really expressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like little, there's a lot of little details in the animation that really help sell that these are like animals with real behaviors. They're not just sort of like monsters. They're kind of like there's
Yeah.
the Triceratops like protecting the young one, like the baby Triceratops, and it's like a lot of just decisions that were put there to help sell that like these are animals that have interiority. You know what I mean? Like they have
Right.
uh like their behaviors feel like naturally occurring things that animals would do, as opposed to
It
just sort of
definitely
like they're not overly personified, I guess, in that way.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it is coming from some close study of real animal
Mm-hmm.
behavior,
Yeah.
and then transposing that onto some really naturalistic, well done stop motion animation. Another thing that I think is really impressive is just having multiple stop motion characters on screen doing different things at the same
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah.
Uh, this requires a lot of coordination and thought and um, just very deliberate action to be able to do that much complexity on screen at once when you're animating multiple things.
Yeah. And there's a lot of cool dinosaur fights in this movie of different dinosaurs fighting each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Some cool fight scenes, some bloody action.
yeah, this movie's surprisingly like gory in the dinosaur scenes. Like
Yeah.
they will like straight up like rip each other up, and there's a lot of blood, and it's like, oh, okay, didn't expect this necessarily. I think I had seen this movie as a kid, like years and years and years ago, but I don't think whenever I had seen it, it was probably a different cut of it. Like it was probably a less complete restoration.
Huh.
Not that I necessarily like remembered scenes being different or anything like that, but whenever I originally saw it, it was long enough ago that I don't think this version of it existed yet. Or like this restoration of it, certainly.
You noticed things that you didn't see before?
Not really, no. Like I definitely remember certain big scenes of it, but I think there were a lot of, particularly the scenes with the human characters that I didn't remember as well. But I might have also just not been paying as much attention. Yeah, there's a bunch of cool dinosaurs in this. There's Allosaurs, there's Triceratopses, Styracosaurus, Brontosaurus. Gets called out specifically.
Surprisingly, no T-Rex.
Because I wonder, because there is an Allosaurus that I think gets called out by name, but then there's like a bigger carnivore dinosaur that I'm not sure is just supposed to be a bigger Allosaurus or if it's supposed to be a T-Rex, because
I see.
this is before they knew that T-Rex had the two fingers, so then it's like they kind of look the same. But yeah, I mean, I think for when this movie came out, it was probably pretty like on the cutting edge of like depictions of dinosaurs based on like up-to-date science, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Brontosaurus is pretty heavily featured. Brontosaurus, when I was a kid, there was always the thing of like Brontosaurus and Apatosaurus, same dinosaur, just different names. And then I think that got transferred to Brontosaurus doesn't exist. Only Apatosaurus is the recognized name. And now I think it's at a place where they are considered separate species of dinosaur. They both exist separately. Brontosaurus is one dinosaur, Apatosaurus is a different dinosaur. But, so.
What's your favorite dinosaur?
I mean, it's probably T-Rex. Like, it's the cool one. I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I have a hot take favorite dinosaur.
I've always been a Stegosaurus guy.
Which is funny because you now live in its home state.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Stegosaurus is the state fossil of Colorado, is it not?
I don't go around studying state fossils.
Well, I thought I saw a sign when I was there. I was on a hike and I thought I saw a sign. If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah,
but it's like Stegosaurus, state fossil.
I like those Stego boys.
I mean, they're great.
They got a good shape.
There's a Stego in this movie, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Looking very similar to the one in King Kong. I think King Kong owes a lot to this movie too. Just this basic kind of structure of explorers going to a lost world. In that case, an island. In this case, a mountain. Dinosaur stuff, and then, of course, bringing something back to the city where it runs amok.
Yeah, and let's talk about that because
it's the coolest.
Let's gloss over the other thing I was going to mention about this movie, which is that it has blackface in it for no reason.
Yes.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's a very cool movie that's like marred by some just pointless racism. So I guess we're not skipping over it, but anyway, they escape the plateau. All these dinosaurs survived in this isolated environment because nobody could get off of this really tall plateau. But there's a dinosaur that falls off and into some mud.
Right, the Brontosaurus is in the middle of a fight with a carnivore. It gets knocked off a cliff and falls into a body of water, and so it survives.
Yeah, it survives, and they're able to take it back on the ship back to London, and they do a very King Kong-y unveiling of the giant creature that they've brought back to the city. In this case, London rather than New York, and then Challenger is giving this presentation, and then he gets a call from Malone, and he's like, "Dude, the dinosaurs escaped." Oh no! Oh shit! What are we gonna do?
Yeah. And then there's a great bit where Challenger yells, "My Brontosaurus has escaped," which is never good news.
All the scientists are like, "Yeah, likely story." Well, once again, not bringing the receipts, you know, and very quickly they're proven wrong. As humans are running and fleeing and getting trampled on by a giant dinosaur, walking across Tower Bridge and through London,
just
and
knocking down buildings, crushing stuff,
stepping into subway stations.
It goes on for a while, and I love every moment. It's so good.
This is far and away my favorite part of the movie. I sent you a meme, the thing from the Onion of the guy going, "Yes, ha ha ha, yes."
Wearing the shirt that says "Sickos."
Yes, because I literally, while I was watching this movie by myself at the theater, and I just screamed "Yes" when the dinosaur got loose.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah. And these shots are done with double exposure. Unlike the other ones where the dinosaurs are fully opaque and they're just matted off in a different part of the shot. In this, because they wanted the dinosaur in the same shot with the people, the dinosaur is a little translucent, but it is still... it's still so cool.
Yeah.
And it's these really high up shots of people running and fleeing from this huge stop motion. Oh, it's great. It's
great. Very King Kong-esque. It's the sort of thing where it's like, oh, that just comes from this directly, pretty much. In the book, they bring back a pterodactyl, which does escape, but causes significantly less mayhem. It's sort of it gets out, and then it's like, oh, it escaped. Um, which I'm glad I liked the decision to like let's make it a brontosaurus and let's have it like destroy London.
You gotta punch it up for the movie.
Yeah. And then, well, instead of being attacked by airplanes, the brontosaurus just jumps into the Thames and escapes, and is just loose at the end.
You know what I kind of thought is that maybe this is like a Nessie origin story.
Oh,
Uh,
maybe, yeah.
they brought a brontosaurus to the UK, and then it swims over to Loch Ness.
maybe. And then we get the ending to the kind of love triangle subplot, where when they get back to London, Gladys has married some rando. So then Ed Malone is free to hook up with Paula, who he's been kind of flirting with the whole movie. They at some point when they're on the plateau, they think they're stuck there forever. And they're like, I guess we're gonna get married now. We're the only like young hot people here, so I guess that's what we have to do.
There's a crazy adventurer, 2 old men, and us young hot people.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the movie. I think I was watching some of the commentary on the Blu-ray on this, which has a lot of cool like behind the scenes facts and stuff. One of which is tying this back into the news segment is that Arthur Conan Doyle knew Percy Fawcett, who disappeared in 1925 in the Amazon looking for a lost city.
Whoa.
And that like Percy Fawcett might have been someone who kind of inspired the book of this, because I think the book was written in 1912, and Percy Fawcett had spent a good chunk of the early 1900s, 1910s looking for this lost city. If you've read the book or seen the movie The Lost City of Zed about Percy Fawcett, that goes into a lot of detail about his whole story. It's very interesting. But it's kind of interesting that this movie came out the same year that Percy Fawcett disappeared. Another thing, like doing research about this movie, I didn't realize that Professor Challenger is in a bunch of other stories. Like, he kept writing stories about Challenger. And all of them have the coolest, pulpiest names possible.
Oh, give me
so, like, the next one after this is called The Poison Belt, which is about the Earth passing through a, like, poison cloud in outer space.
What?
And then after that is The Land of Mist. And then 2 short stories, which are When the World Screamed and The Disintegration Machine. I mean,
oh my god!
I gotta read all these. These are too good. This movie, like a lot of silent movies, is sort of like the current version of it is like an approximation of what the release was. Like, it's taken from like a bunch of different sources and like trying to like piece together what the original movie was based on like all the pieces that have been found of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just something that keeps coming up and is like wild that one, it's been able to have been restored to the degree that it has been, but also just that that's necessary, that it's like there was like an American print that had a bunch of these scenes, and then there was like a different like a European print that had like different scenes that then had to get like reassembled. It's all
Wow. Yeah, it's a shame that silent films have ended up in such a state, but people do really great work reconstructing them.
This movie was written by Marion Fairfax, who was a really prolific screenwriter in the 1920s. There's an ape man in this movie that's feels very sort of
I forgot that we didn't mention the ape man.
Gotta mention the ape man. It feels very kind of like a predecessor to like the eight people in 2001.
Yeah.
But with a more sort of sinister look.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to definitely trying to kill and eat these adventurers.
Yes. But there's like a guy in the sort of ape man costume and makeup, and then there's just an actual chimpanzee that he hangs out with, which is kind of funny.
There's a point where they like specifically go like, "Is that guy some kind of missing link or something?"
Yeah. What is this guy, missing link? And then yeah, there's a bit where they shoot at him, and he gets injured, and there's kind of a brief scene where you see him kind of like nursing himself back to health, and it's like, oh, we have a scene of pathos for the ape man.
Which we need.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't movies as a thing pathos for the ape man?
Largely, yes. Something that comes up a lot in film, surprisingly.
They're empathy machines.
Yeah.
And we as ape men operate.
Another thing that I guess is sort of like news, not really news, but I think that I've been noticing a lot in a lot of film, like 1920s movies, is old lenses, old like portrait lenses in particular, have this like kind of swirly effect around the edges, where the bokeh, the out of focus shapes, will sort of create this kind of circular distortion to it, which is really, I think, looks really cool. And so in researching that, I ended up going on eBay and buying a new lens for my camera that has that sort of like look to it.
I don't know what you're talking about. You'll have to send me a picture.
Yeah, I noticed it a lot in The Lost World, so I can probably get a screen cap showing that, and then maybe I've been trying to like play with this lens and try to get it to like look similar, because it's a cool effect.
Look at you, film production guy, who's just like, an interesting lens. I will buy it.
Well, it's also, I found out that, so the lens I bought is an old Soviet lens from like the 70s, and they made so many of them that you can buy them on eBay now for like $50, which for a camera lens is nothing.
Wow, nice.
So they make other ones that are sort of like a bit more, newer and sort of like have all more modern features, things like that, but they're more money. But it was like, well, for that price, I might as well.
I don't notice lenses very much because I'm just not like attuned to it. But one thing that I do notice is we had a Shaw Brothers movie on just like the TVs at work the other day, and it seems like Shaw Brothers use these just really extreme anamorphic lenses. So anything that's near the edge of the frame is like so distorted. It almost like looks like the edge of a fisheye, which I don't know what they were doing, because like there are lots of anamorphic movies that don't have that much distortion, or it's like very light. But like with specifically like 70s and 80s like CinemaScope kung fu movies, like you turn into like a funhouse mirror when you get to the edge of the screen. Yeah.
There was a Soderbergh movie that came out a couple years ago, No Sudden Move, that used, I think, like vintage 70s anamorphic lenses that have that same like super wild distortion on the edges. That is like, I don't know. I love anamorphic lenses, like the aesthetic of them and the ways that they kind of distort things, and yet that's like too much for me. That's like, I draw the line there. That's just too weird looking. But yeah, I don't know. It's something that I notice more and more is like lens quirks.
In these movies, or just in general?
Just in general. But yeah, in these movies, that was something I had noticed more and more of is this sort of like circular out of focus distortion. So I think it's very distinctive, and it's something that I don't see a lot of in movies now, because it is like a defect. Like it comes from just really old lenses that haven't like, don't account for that distortion. That will, like, newer lenses will make it look like your eye sees. But I don't know. I like that stuff. I think it gives it character. And on that note. Anything else to say?
No. Podcast over.
Great. Just cut it there.
What was your favorite movie of this episode?
I mean, I think... people will yell at me for this. I think, like, the best movie we watched was Potemkin, but, like, my favorite has got to be Lost World. Like, Lost World has a lot of things that count against it. I mean, I think its plot stuff is kind of generic and not super interesting. It's like, all right, they go to a place and there's a love triangle and whatever. The unfortunate 1920s blackface is shitty, and I think does sort of like knock a star off this movie in terms of like its quality, or just watchability, I guess.
Yeah, harder to just put it on.
Yeah,
I actually was just putting it on the background yesterday, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, it's like it might prevent this movie from going on the put it on in the background at the party playlist, unfortunately, because like if I could find like just the dinosaur scenes, maybe throw those in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in terms of my overall just sort of like reaction to it, I think I'm gonna go with Lost World because it feels it's so on brand with its pulpy adventure shit.